First at 5. From the University of Florida's College of Journalism and Communications, you're watching WUFT News.
Keeping animals warm in this January chill, we'll tell you how the shelters protected four-legged friends during the cold snap.
And disagreements in D.C., a government shutdown looms without a spending bill compromise. Negotiations between Senate Republicans and Democrats could continue into the weekend. That's our top story. I'm Daniela Garrido.
And I'm Jordan McCool. With a midnight deadline, Washington faces its first shutdown since 2013. NBC's Blaine Alexander tells us what each party is fighting for.
With Congress racing to avoid a government shutdown, President Trump calling top Senate Democrat Chuck Schumer to the White House, a last-ditch effort to hammer out a deal by midnight.
We had a long and detailed meeting. We discussed all of the major outstanding issues. We made some progress, but we still have a good number of disagreements.
But still, no deal. The focus now, Senate Democrats holding out for a DACA fix, protecting young immigrants who came to America as children.
We already have a bill that we know can pass the House because it already did. We have a bill that we know the president will sign into law because he's already committed to do just that.
But that bill cannot pass without help from Democrats, and even some Republicans are against it. Senator Lindsey Graham says President Trump has to bridge the gap.
I want to keep the government open, I want to fund the military, and I want to do right by the DACA population.
So where do the parties agree? It's the other side's fault.
There's no way you could lay this at the feet of the President of the United States. He is actively working to try to get a deal.
And it may mean a change of plans for the president, putting a Florida celebration marking his first year in office on hold until there's a deal. Blaine Alexander, NBC News, Washington.
With a government shutdown, some federal offices here in north central Florida could be forced into temporary close. Federal workers would not be the only ones affected. WUFT's Morgan Reiner joins us now with what this means for north central Florida.
It's a new year, but we are still seeing this same problem in Congress, agreeing on a budget. If both parties can't compromise on a plan before time runs out at midnight, the federal government will be temporarily shut down for the first time since 2013. Some of the local areas that might be affected are national parks, national cemeteries, and IRS employees. Employees won't know until closer to Monday if they must report to work. Many federal workers would face a furlough, a temporary unpaid leave from a government job. Employees considered essential would remain on the job, like law enforcement, Social Security, postal services, and air travel.
When people think about a government shutdown, one of the things they're concerned about is what's still going to work and not going to work. In Gainesville, air traffic and air travel will not be impacted.
University Air Center COO Debbie Frederick says aircraft registration and transactions are the only aspects of aviation that could be impacted by a possible shutdown. And a spokesperson from the VA hospital in Gainesville told me that the Veterans Health Administration received an early advance for 2018, so it would continue to run in full operation in the case of a shutdown. The potential shutdown could last until Congress can agree upon a budget, which can take several days or even a few weeks.
Thank you, Morgan. Well, these last few nights have been pretty cold.
I agree. I'm really hoping we'll be getting some warmer weather. WUFT's Brian Boggiano tells us from the Weather Center if we'll be seeing any warm up anytime soon.
Well, for tonight, not exactly anything anytime soon, but the good news is we do have a warm up coming. Tonight, though, a freeze warning is still in effect for some inland counties across North Florida. This includes Alachua County in Gainesville, Lake City, Live Oak, as well as Stark. We have frost advisories in effect for Ocala, as well as counties on the western side of the St. Johns River. Tonight, temperatures will be falling to about 32 degrees here in Gainesville. Wind chills closer to 30, so if you are going out tonight, you're still going to need those extra layers. Across our area, though, most places Saturday morning in the low to mid 30s. 32 here in Gainesville, 34 in Ocala, 31 degrees in Lake City, with the freeze potentially going as far south as Gainesville. We do have warmer temperatures coming, but what day those will be, I'll have that information coming up next in my full forecast. Back to you.
Thanks, Brian. The freeze warning have made everyone think about the 3 Ps: plants, pets, and pipes. When it comes to pets, the Alachua County Animal Shelter is dealing with a full house. WUFT's Henry Coburn shows us how they've kept them cozy despite the cold.
The recent waves of cold weather to hit north central Florida have been tough on pets and their owners. But imagine dealing with 160 dogs and 85 cats. All the adoptable pets at the Alachua County Animal Shelter have been well taken care of. The shelter always keeps cats inside.
It is easy for cats because they're enclosed and we have that ability.
But dogs?
With the dogs, it's much more complicated. And because of that, there's mountains, literally mountains of laundry to do every day because all of the dogs have to be bedded down. And they still, if they're in the kennels, they have to be able to go out.
The dog kennels are indoor-outdoor with a door that separates the two. And when it gets too cold late at night,
we let the doors down and the dogs pretty much stay on the inside.
The shelter has kept the inside temperatures in the mid to upper 60s overnight.
Now, I've been told that the shelter is at capacity with around 160 dogs right now. This weekend, they're trying to adopt out as many as they can to nice warm homes.
Saturday's free adoption event will be called Full House, a poker theme to go along with the crowded conditions. While supplies last, the shelter will send home free beds for dogs and free bags of treats for cats during Full House. Henry Coburn, WUFT News.
The adoption event will take place between 10:30 a.m. and 5 p.m.
And the owners of a Gainesville office building are frustrated after a man vandalized the back of their building and took off. This surveillance video taken Sunday shows a man lurking behind a Gainesville office. You can see him pick up an object and throw it at the building. He then smashes the building's utility meters. The building is owned by Sherry and Tony McKnight. She says they've seen the man before. He's homeless and hangs around the area. Sherry says they're taking extra precautions to keep their employees safe.
It's not just people who come here, but it's those of us who have to come out late at night. There's many people here coming at various hours of the day and leaving at various hours of the day. So there's always a concern there about who may be lurking around the corner and what do they want.
Gainesville Regional Utilities replaced the damaged meters. McKnight says they've been in contact with the Alachua County Sheriff's Office and that they'll be putting in new measures to keep the building safe. Today, Gainesville celebrates its 34th year as a tree city. WUFT's Grace King attended one ceremony earlier and joins us live from the newsroom.
Daniela, it was a celebration of Gainesville's trees at the Matheson Museum as people shared what trees meant to them. For one commissioner, that love goes back as far as he can remember.
As a little boy, I grew up in Australia and I used to collect money for trees, and we used to have an assembly once a year at my school and we would plant a tree.
Commissioner Harvey Budd felt right at home stepping in for Mayor Poe at Gainesville's celebration of Florida Arbor Day.
One of the reasons I came here was because of the tree canopy.
Budd asked the community to start planting trees in honor of their loved ones in hopes of reforesting the areas affected by Hurricane Irma.
Recently we've had a lot of storms and the need to replace the trees is more pronounced than ever.
But a new bill could threaten the success of local efforts to protect trees. If passed, Senate Bill 574 will ban local governments from regulating tree trimming and removal.
I have big concerns about that.
Nikki Byers has lived in Gainesville for 25 years and feels strongly that the city's current permit system for tree clearing needs to stay in place.
I don't think people should just be able to clear these huge swaths of land of our beautiful trees.
Harvey Budd agrees.
We have protected species in here, and if everybody could clear cut their yard, you'd have a tremendous big hole.
The bill's sponsor, Greg Stubbe, wrote in a recent column that local ordinances can be, quote, outrageous and unreasonable, and a direct assault on private property rights. Budd hopes the bill does not pass.
It's not a state decision, it's a local decision.
So that Gainesville can continue being a tree city.
Here we go.
Stubbe's Senate bill and a House companion bill were introduced on January 9th. Their next hearings have not yet been scheduled.
Coming up on WUFT News, first at 5, tearful pleas from victims as a former USA gymnastics doctor guilty of sexual assault awaits his sentence. Hear from Olympic gold medalist speaking out on his abuse.
Plus, where actors starring in Woody Allen's new movie are donating their salaries. Those stories and more coming up after the break.
And it's sunny and 60 degrees right now, but we are heading for freezing temperatures once again tonight. It's the last freeze, though, for the week. Coming up, I'll tell you how much temperatures will warm up by and when we will hit 70 degrees.